there's a good news and a bad news. And let me tell you about the bad news first, because the good news is going to make you happier. So the bad news is there's something inside you which could be acting as your biggest enemy right now, which is pulling you down every time you set out to achieve something, which makes you doubt yourself, which criticizes you, judges you harshly, and which also makes you feel stressed, anxious, low, and all the different negative emotions you could think of. I'm talking about the inner critic. It is that voice in your head that's constantly talking to you. And it's one of the common reasons for low self-confidence, low self-worth. So it's stopping you from living your life happily, preventing you from taking actions and getting out of your comfort zone. It's also affecting your relationships. So this is one common cause to so many different problems you might be having in your life. And that's actually the good news. You can actually control or silence this inner critic, turning it into a friend rather than your enemy. And importantly, it helps you get rid of this one issue which is the cause of so many different problems in your life, the inner critic. So in this video, we'll dive deeper into understanding the inner critic and how we can overcome it. So the inner critic is that inner voice in your head that's constantly talking to you and keeping you stuck in the negative cycle. But why do we have it? Why do we have such a negative thing that's constantly acting as our enemy? Well, it wasn't really meant to harm you, but rather to protect you. Humans have had it since the primitive times. They had this inner voice as a safety mechanism system that was always warning them of the possible dangers, and dangers at that time could be life-threatening. So it meant for the human survival, and it would basically help us question our decisions or our next steps, reminding of the possible danger or if you are in an unfamiliar situation, so it would keep you alert during that times. And over time, this has been internalized, but hasn't really been adapted, because in today's time, it's not always a matter of survival. The situations aren't really life-threatening, but this inner critic, it makes us feel like that. This is where it turns from protector to our enemy. But there's two reasons that make it problematic for us, that turns it from our protector to our enemy. Number one, it's often irrational and exaggerated. So it makes us magnify our fears, magnify our problems, or make a big deal out of the small matters. And second, the more you listen to it, the stronger and more overpowering it becomes, making you believe all those irrational, exaggerated thoughts. Okay, so we now know what the self-critic is and where it comes from. Let's now talk about how we could actually overcome it. The first stage is awareness. And awareness is possible when you actually are able to identify the different forms in which it shows. So let me first tell you about the different common forms in which the self-critic shows. Number one is self-doubt. It is when you don't believe in yourself or you question your decisions, your steps, or your skills, talent, or intelligence. You have these thoughts inside. Am I capable of this? I'm not sure if I can do it. I'm too old. I don't know if they are going to like me. And all that stuff. One common example is you don't apply for a job you want because you believe you are not qualified enough. You are constantly doubting your capabilities, your qualifications, your educations, and the worth of your resume, for instance. But it has a major impact in our life. It makes you anxious and worried. It lowers your self-esteem and confidence. It stops you from trying new things, makes you feel unworthy of success, and even leads to hesitation. And the second common form is fear, and essentially the fear of failure. When you think about all the possible failures, all the possible things that could go wrong when you are doing something. Starting something and you are like, what if I mess up everything? It's not worth the risk. Everyone will see me fail. It's too risky for me, or I'm not ready. And the possible impact we can clearly see is it keeps you stuck in your life in the current situation. It prevents you from taking action, and therefore it prevents personal and professional growth, and it leads to missed opportunities in life. The third common form is guilt and shame. This is where in your head it's constantly overplaying your past mistakes over and over, holding on to regret. It keeps reminding you of it, and the impact of that is it keeps you stuck in the past. It creates feelings of unworthiness and makes it hard to move on for you, and overall it lowers your confidence. The next form is then overthinking and indecisiveness. This is when you're stuck in the overthinking loop, thinking about something from all the possible angles, and often it's making you confused. without really coming to a conclusion, just dwelling in those thoughts. And you have those thoughts like, what if I make wrong choices? I may regret it later. I should wait and think about it more. And one of the common example is you take weeks to decide on a small decision, like a small purchase you need to make, because you are afraid that you will regret it later. It usually happens when you have made some wrong choices in the past and the voice tells you that you are more likely to make wrong choices now because you have made them in the past. And the common impact is it makes decision making exhausting and stressful. It causes mental fatigue, makes you less attentive. It even causes procrastination because you are constantly stuck in the thinking loop and you are not really taking any action. And it therefore increases anxiety and self-doubt because you are not trusting your decisions. The next common form is imposter syndrome. This is when you feel like you've only succeeded due to luck. You don't trust yourself for the responsibility you are given. And you have those thoughts like, I don't deserve to be here, I'm not capable of it, I'm not good enough, I'm not talented, I don't know much. And one common example is, let's say you get a promotion at your job, but you think that they made a mistake in picking you up. Now you feel like you don't have those abilities, you are not capable of handling this role. It therefore, as an impact, makes you feel like a fraud even when you are qualified, even though it was well-deserved promotion. And you're always feeling the need to prove yourself, so it makes you feel like quitting as well at some point. So you see, this is completely irrational when you are deserving of something but you are doubting yourself. And this is one common example of how inner critic can be irrational and exaggerated. Then another common form is negative self-talk. It is where you are over-judging and over-criticizing yourself. Like, I'm so stupid. When you make a small mistake and you make a big deal out of it, and maybe you have made some mistakes before, so you are like, I'm so stupid. I always mess things up. I'm too lazy. I'm not interesting enough. I always make mistakes. And these words like always, never, these further make you feel so much less confident in life. So the impact of this is also severe. It damages self-image and self-worth. It makes you agitated, makes you unhappy, complaining. It also even affects your relationships because you are constantly doubting people. If they are doing good to you, you feel you are not worthy of that. You are not worthy of love. So you are actually doubting their intentions all the time. And another form is people pleasing, where you basically don't say no as you feel that people will be upset. And the voice is then telling you, what if they think you are rude if you are saying no? Oh, I need to keep everyone happy. I should agree with them even if I don't really. I should act more nicely. What would they think of me otherwise? So you're trying to act in a certain way, but then this inner voice is telling you not to say no, even when you don't have time, even at the expense of your own important things in life. You are still not able to say no to them. Overall, eventually in your life, it causes frustration. It makes you put others' needs before your own. It drains your energy when you say yes too much. And it also creates a fear of rejection when you set boundaries. So you can have an idea how much complicated and difficult it can make your life. The other common form is then comparison and jealousy, when this inner voice is constantly comparing you with other people and making you realize you are not good enough, even if that's not true. So you could be like, oh, he's better than me, she's better than me, I'm less talented, I'm not as good looking, I'm not as tall, I'm not as gifted. My achievements don't matter compared to theirs. It also has a huge impact in your life. It lowers your self-esteem, it creates dissatisfaction with your life, it leads to bitterness and resentment. And one of the common examples is you scroll through social media and feel bad about your own life because others seem more successful, more happy. So you see how the inner critic can show up in various different forms, and the reason why I wanted to share them with you is you become aware of them. Because awareness is the first step towards overcoming or silencing the inner critic. Now, in the awareness, what also could help is journaling. You write down basically all your thoughts on a regular basis on a journal, or at times when you feel when you are hearing those negative voices, or when you're having the moments of fear, doubts, overthinking, you just write down on a journal. Ask yourself what's going on. This will help you be aware of the kind of thoughts you're having so you can take the step towards controlling them. The other practice that really helps you be more aware of these kind of thoughts or the inner critic is mindfulness. You basically take out some times in the day. Twice a day is good. In the morning and in the evening, you basically close your eyes, take deep breaths, and during this time, you just analyze the kind of thoughts that are running in your head. You don't judge them, you don't basically react to them, you just let them pass. And this happens when you are doing this deep breathing exercise and focusing all your attention inside, inwards. It's kind of like you're sitting on a cliff and you're watching the traffic, you're watching all the moving cars. They are kind of like your thoughts, one coming and going, the other one coming and going, and you are not basically reacting to it because you are at a distance, but you are paying attention to it. So this way you are becoming aware of the kind of thoughts you keep having in your day, the dialogue you keep having in your day, and you become aware. The other method is to give it a name or personality. Like I usually name these thoughts as speculative Joe, and there's a science to it. Studies suggest that when you name your thoughts, the inner critic, you give it a name or personality, you actually detach yourself from the thoughts. So this voice, it's usually telling you you are not good enough, you are not ready for it, and it becomes like I'm not good enough, I'm not ready for it. So whenever you are having these thoughts like I'm not ready for it, you could name it as speculative Joe thinks that I'm not ready for it. So this way you detach yourself from these thoughts, and this helps you lower your stress and self-judgment. The next step is then to challenge the narrative when you are aware of your thoughts of the inner critic. So let's say you're having this thought, I will fail at this. Just ask yourself, why do you think you will fail at this? Is it really a fact or just an assumption? If it is an assumption, why do you think that way? Then it could be like, because I failed last time. Then you can be like, oh, I failed at this thing because I made this mistake, and this time I've decided not to make this mistake. Besides, I have taken more learnings. I have also consulted few people. This is rather going to help you prepare for all the possible downsides, because initially, like I said, this inner voice or this inner critic is trying to warn you of the possible dangers, like in this case, the failure, because failure could lead to disappointments in life, could lead to financial loss, and could lead to other problems in life. So it is actually trying to warn you. But when you have that inner dialogue, you are either able to rule out all the irrational thoughts, and you therefore become more confident. And if it actually is having some bit of reality to it, then you can actually be more prepared. So if it reminds you of your past failure, it's preparing you for it, so you get reminded about it and you will remember not to make the same mistake. You will be prompted to take learning from it. So this way it becomes so much more helpful and starts acting like your friend. But you have to challenge your narrative. Likewise, if you have a narrative like, oh, I'm so stupid, you would be like, why do I feel I'm stupid? Because I've made some stupid mistakes last time. And you are like, how can I not make these mistakes again? And then you now become much more aware of your past mistakes. So you now are taking learnings from the past mistake. You are opening up the possibility of improving in your life and getting better and becoming a better person, which is going to lead you to self-growth. So again, you are then leveraging this self-talk or this inner critic to get some positive output. Mentally, the brain processes questions differently than the statements. So when you turn those statements into questions, you are opening your mind to thinking about the solutions rather than to be stuck in thinking about the problems. And this way, you could actually use your inner critic to prepare yourself more. You could actually silence it, and when you silence it, you become even more determined, even more confident about yourself, because you have just won a debate. So you're even more sure because you have now evaluated yourself, you have now questioned yourself. Another useful method is affirmations. I would call them daily affirmations because this is something you need to do daily as a practice, and that will eventually help you silence your inner critic and turn that into more of a positive thinking. So when you have those thoughts of, I'm not good enough, I'm not capable, I'm not worthy, write the opposite sentences. I'm capable, I'm worthy, I believe in myself, I care for myself. There are so many different affirmations you could have. I'll drop a link in the comments or in the description that you can check out, where I have written down all the different affirmations. The essential point is you note them down or you print them and you say them every morning after waking up, and every evening before going to bed. This is going to completely reframe your thinking, turning all those negative thoughts into positive thoughts, especially those irrational and over-exaggerated thoughts. And I've personally found them to be very powerful in changing your outlook to life, in making you more optimistic, in making you more confident, in basically overcoming all those negative thoughts. Another very powerful step that helps in controlling the inner critic or the negative thoughts is visualization. So in your head, just visualize that you are in your house and on the main door there are the negative thoughts. Whenever you are having those negative thoughts, you imagine yourself that you are in your house and they are trying to enter into your house, and then you visualize that you are shutting that door on their face. You are not letting them in. And then from the back door, you are actually letting all those positive thoughts, all those self-believing thoughts in you. So whenever you are having those negative thoughts, you just throw them out of the door and you visualize that. And then at the same time, you visualize that you are receiving all the good things, all the good energy from the universe, all the good thoughts, all these self-believing thoughts. And you will see that this visualization is actually helping you. It's making you more resilient, stronger in the face of the inner critic. And your positive voice gets stronger and more overpowering to the inner critic. Another common form of visualization is you visualize success. So whenever you are having thoughts of the possible failures you could have, you visualize the success. What it feels like, for example, if you are looking to start a new business, visualize yourself as a successful entrepreneur or successful businessman. Imagine yourself having that money, having that wealth, having that nice car, or whatever you're looking to achieve with that business, whatever outcome you want to have with your business. You just visualize that, because then it will make you even more motivated in working towards it, and it's going to make you feel over time that it's real. And this is only going to fill you with the motivation, the self-belief, which is all very much needed in succeeding at something. The next useful step is to switch from self-judgment to self-compassion, because self-compassion activates the care system in the brain, reducing stress, and it fosters resilience. Now, often the inner critic statements are very harsh and brutal. Statements like, "I'm stupid, I always mess up, I'm not worthy of success," all these are very harsh. So you just start asking yourself, would you say this to a friend? Would you say this to anyone? Would you speak in such a language? And if the answer is no, then you need to reframe it. You need to make it nicer for yourself. This is how you practice self-compassion, self-care. Studies find that people who practice self-compassion rather than self-criticism are more resilient, perform better, and have lower levels of anxiety. And studies also show that self-criticism activates the brain's threat detection systems, making us more stressed rather than improving performance. So every time you are having those harsh statements from the inner critic, you need to reframe them. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," say, "I'm learning and improving. Nobody's perfect." And the final step is gratitude and remembering your past achievements. Whenever we are listening to the inner critic, it's only focusing on the negative things in life, the past mistakes we have made, the childhood traumas, failures we have had before, making us believe that this is actually us. However, this is only one side of the story when you are not thinking about your past achievements, what you already have accomplished in your life. And when you remind yourself of those good things, of those past accomplishments, you are now thinking about the other side of the story, and your conclusion is going to be different. Your conclusion is going to be like, oh, you have had more success in your life than failures. Oh, you are also worthy of success. You can actually do so well. So it's always important to keep reminding you of the good things in your life. The problem with inner critic is because it's part of the safety system in your body, it's wired to make you think about the negative things, because then only you are prepared for all the possible threats. So you can practice gratitude, and this is something I'm going to have to do manually, because the inner critic is an automatic system in your body, an automatic safety system, and gratitude is something that you need to learn now, and eventually it will become your habit. So it will help you keep fighting it all the time without you having to consciously make an effort. So to practice gratitude in your day-to-day life, you just note down all your top achievements in your life, all the good things that you have in life, and keep repeating them every day. You can note them down next to your affirmations, which I talked about as one of the other steps. It can be different statements depending on your accomplishments. It could be like, I was a top 5 performer at high school. I won an award at my first job. I'm very good at analysis. I'm very good at cooking. I look after my health. And you will notice how much it effectively silences the negative voice coming from your inner critic, because you are now feeling the moments of pride, success, and self-belief. You are reliving those good moments that always motivate you, that always reinforce your belief, your trust in yourself. So I hope this video was helpful. Knowing that there is an inner critic and being aware of the kind of different forms it manifests and makes your life so difficult is important in order to succeed and grow in life. And when you have identified these forms of inner critics, these negative emotions that you face, and know that this is actually, or it has more to do with what's inside you than the external world, you are able to control it. You are able to control it with the steps that I've shared, and these steps I've shared in the video are going to help you overcome them. If you like the video, please like and please subscribe to the channel for more such videos. I love to talk about the self-growth, and I've always been learning about it. So I'm happy to share all that knowledge, all that experience with you guys. And we'd also like you to share this video with all those who need. Comment about the problems you're facing, the different forms in which the inner critic inside you is manifesting. It's preventing your success and growth, and what are the steps you are planning to take to overcome it. So I wish you all the success in life and have a lovely day.